it's Erin, and I am here with another anime review, even though it has not been 6 months, but my hair is still different. We're just going to keep going with that. As promised, I'm here with my review of Deadman Wonderland, but before we get started, I wanted to say really quick that Deadman Wonderland is categorized as action/horror, and since it's categorized as action/horror, there's some stuff in it that might not be suitable for all audiences. I'm going to try and keep as much out of it as possible, but it is a very dark, gory, bloody anime, so it's going to be hard to avoid completely. So just so you guys know, there is that in there, and that if you're squeamish about this sort of stuff, don't know what that was. But if you're squeamish about blood and gore, you might want to skip over this one. With that being said, let's get started with some Deadman Wonderland. Deadman Wonderland opens 10 years after the Great Tokyo Earthquake, a disaster of unknown origin that destroyed 3/4 of Tokyo. We are introduced to Gata, a seemingly normal 14-year-old boy who is also a survivor of the earthquake, however he has no memories of it. Seems like it's going to be a normal day as he's chatting with his besties and all that fun stuff, when all of a sudden a masked figure wearing tattered, bloodied clothes appears outside his classroom. In a flash, all of Ganta's friends and classmates are dead at the hands of who is going to become known as the Red Man. The Red Man vanishes, but not before placing a mysterious crystal into Ganta's chest. After a suspiciously short trial and investigation, Ganta is found guilty of the massacre of his friends and classmates. He's given the death sentence and is placed on death row at Deadman Wonderland. Fronted as an amusement park, Deadman Wonderland is a privately owned and operated prison that was built after the massive earthquake to help reboost Japan's economy. Tourists pay to ride rides and watch performances done by the prisoners that are living out their sentences there. However, what's happening behind the scenes is a lot more twisted and not quite as innocent as the balloons and smiles would have you believe. What the general public doesn't know is that these attractions that they're paying to see are actually cruel survival games where many prisoners are injured or even lose their lives. Pretty gosh darn scary. We're introduced to numerous characters, including the mysterious girl Shido, who claims to be Ganta's best friend, even though he has no idea who she is. Kind of mysterious and weird. We also meet the antagonist of the anime, Assistant Warden Tamaki, as well as Deadman Wonderland's chief guard Makina. Near the end of the first episode, Ganta faces another life or death situation, and it's here that Ganta discovers that he has the ability to manipulate his blood and use it in battle, meaning he has a branch of sin. After the prison finds out about his power, Ganta is isolated to the mysterious G Block, an area of the prison that is kept secret from the public because of the unethical death match tournament thing that takes place there. Ganta is given the name Woodpecker and is forced to fight against other people who have branches of sin in this death match, the Carnival Corpse. If he wins, he gets a nice little amount of cast points. If he loses, let's just say that the consequences are less than pleasant. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So starts Ganta's journey to prove his innocence and kill the Red Man in this gruesome, twisted, creepy anime that is very promising at the beginning, but ends up losing itself among too many plot lines and doesn't quite live up to its manga counterpart. When it comes to plot, Deadman Wonderland is not the first story to tell about people fighting to the death for others' entertainment. Battle Royale, Hunger Games, Death Race, just to name a few. The first episode is incredibly intriguing because it starts out very lighthearted and happy with Ganta talking to his friends, and then it just throws you right into the madness, the creepy, twisted tale that is Deadman Wonderland. However, as the story continues, it quickly loses focus. Numerous plot lines and characters are introduced, but they're never fleshed out, and many questions that are raised are never answered. What it ends up being is just a cluster of random plot lines and characters that you don't really understand, and a pacing that really doesn't work. This leaves the viewer feeling very confused, and since none of the plot lines really conclude, it also leaves them feeling unsatisfied. Moving on, even if an anime's plot is less than satisfactory, if it has good characters, it can be redeemed. However, Deadman Wonderland kind of lacks in the character department. Ganta starts out as an understandably scared and depressed 14-year-old boy. Anybody who was in his situation would be depressed and scared too. Don't you deny it. However, as the series continues, he stays that same scared little boy. While at first this makes him very relatable, by the end it just makes him generic and, to be blunt, annoying. When the story starts out with the protagonist going through some sort of horrible trauma, which Ganta obviously did, you do feel sorry for him. However, you also want to root for him to grow and overcome the obstacles that have been forced into his way. Ganta, while he has his moments of awesomeness, for the most part always reverts back to that scared, whiny little boy that we see in the very first episode. He's the protagonist that you feel sorry for, but you really just wish he would deal with his circumstances and overcome them. And spoiler alert, I'm going to give you enough time to skip ahead just a little bit. Okay? In the manga, he does do this. So it's disappointing when you've already read the manga and then you watch the anime and see how lacking his character development is. I don't know if that was really a spoiler. Unfortunately, the supporting cast doesn't fare much better. They're all very interesting and intriguing in the beginning, but end up being mediocre and underdeveloped. Like I said before, with there being so many plot lines that are constantly jumped back and forth between, it's the same with the characters. There are so many characters that are introduced but not fully explored, so it's hard to get emotionally invested into any of them. It's a sad thing. Positive note, the art of the show is pretty gosh darn good. Yeah, it's kind of unique in the character designs, and it does a very good job of setting the dark mood for this twisted show. Like I said before, it's a very gory show. People die in horrible, twisted, goosebumpy ways, and there's lots and lots of blood that goes along with that. The show is kind of hindered by some censorship, which is kind of weird and a little bit lame, but it still gets the point across about what's going on. The soundtrack is also a high point. You guys. The dark music that's played throughout really fits the series and helps add to the creepiness of it, and I also really enjoyed the opening song. The opening in general I thought was very well done. Thumbs up. Overall, the anime did not blow me away and was actually kind of disappointing. It felt more like an advertisement for the manga, which is a good thing if it actually entices you to go and read it. However, if you're not going to go and read it, then it just leaves you wanting more and feeling very unsatisfied. I sincerely hope that they make a second season so that they're able to flesh out all those plot lines that they left unconcluded. That's a word, right? But until then, I'm going to say that it is a good anime if you're looking for something fun and gory to watch, but it's an okay anime if you're looking for something with a well-done story. Either way, you should go and read the manga because it's good. The subbed version of Deadman Wonderland is available on Hulu, and the dubbed version is currently airing on Toonami. Alright, sexy artifices, that is it for my Deadman Wonderland reviewed. Hi. Hi. You look so scared. If you want to follow me on some other sites, I have a Tumblr, a Twitter, and a Facebook page now. I just made it. So I will leave all those links down below. I also have a My Anime list. That is all down in the little box down there. Thank you guys so much. You are wonderful and pretty and just all around gorgeous. So I will talk to you later.